This video is part of episode 6, Getting Started with VoiceAttack, in our voice control series. In this episode, we will talk you through how to create a new VoiceAttack profile, how to create a button press using 2 different methods, as well as give a brief breakdown of the command editing screen you will be using to make those voice commands. In order to begin creating a fresh profile, you'll first need to open VoiceAttack and select the More Profile Actions button in the top right hand corner. From there, select Create New Profile, and this will bring up the editing menu where commands are stored. You may rename your profile in the top left corner, and when you are done, select Done in the bottom right corner. Creating a button press is likely to be the most common input you may create in your profiles. Right, it is important to understand that game inputs work off of the principle of 3 separate actions. Stop. Whereas in ordinary gameplay we may view a button press as one singular action, what is actually occurring is that first the button is being held down, then a short amount of time passes, and finally the button is being released as 3 individual actions. It is this principle that we will mimic when we create our voice commands. To begin, open VoiceAttack and either create a new profile or load a pre-existing one by following the previous steps. Open the VoiceAttack editor screen by selecting the Edit Profile button indicated by the pencil icon. In the editor screen, in the top right corner, select New Command. This will open a new window where all subsequent commands can be made. You may find it helpful to think of this screen as having 3 separate sections. The first you can think of as how do I want the command to be triggered, usually via voice command, so you would click When I Say. The second you can think of as what do I want the command to do. This is where you'll put the various button presses and button holds you may wish your voice command to activate. And the third and bottom section of the screen you can think of as do I want this command to do anything special, such as repeat itself. The first section is labelled This command is executed ... Below this statement you will see several options. For voice controls, we will select This command is executed when I say. For this example, we will use the word jump. So the phrase is now, this command is executed when I say jump. Please note, it is possible to have a command executed via multiple methods. However, we would not recommend this until you are experienced with voice controls. The second section of the editor screen is labelled When this command executes, do the following sequence. Below this, you will see several options on how you can create an action sequence. To create a button press, select Key Press. This will bring up a new menu that allows you to fine-tune exactly how you would like the key press to occur. For a simple key press, ensure that the press and release key box is ticked. To select the key you would like to be activated, you can do so by first clicking on Press Key and then pressing the button on your keyboard. In this case, it would be spacebar for jump. You can also select it by clicking on the keyboard and then selecting the button you want from the drop-down menu. then select OK. We can now see in the second section that we have, when this command executes, do the following sequence. Press space key, hold it for 0.5 seconds, and release. You may adjust how long the press lasts by adjusting the number in the hold down for X seconds panel. You can access this by either double-clicking on the action sequence or by selecting it and pressing Edit. Here you can see the same window from before with the press and release keys option. If you wish for the button to be held down for longer, you can simply adjust the time in this box and then select OK. As you can see, we've now changed it to be press space key and hold it for 1 second and then release. The method we have just described is the simplest way to create a button press and to edit how long that button is being held down for. However, we can create a manual button press by breaking this button down into its single components. That being to press the button down, wait a short amount of time, and then release the key. I'll talk you through how to do that now. So the first step is to press the button down. So we go to key press, but rather than selecting press and release keys, we will simply select press keys. And again, we can select from the press key option which button we would like to be held down, in this case the spacebar. As you can see, we now have the command, when this command executes, do the following sequence, press down the space key. Effectively, what this command is currently doing is holding the button down. Therefore, we need to do the second step, which is to add the short timer. We can do this by going to pause, and you can either add a pause for 3 seconds, or add a specific pause. We will go to add pause and simply type in how long you want the key to be held down for. In this example, we'll say 1 second. And finally, we need the key to be released once again. So we go to key press, and rather than press and release or press keys, we will select release key and again select the spacebar and press OK. As you can now see, from top down we have press down space key, wait 1 second, and release the space key, or effectively the same command that we had before. One reason you may wish to perform your key presses this way is that it gives you a greater amount of control over exactly when and where which keys are being pressed down and released. This can be important if you are making macros or stringing various commands together over a long sequence. The third section of the editor screen is not labelled. However, it is the remaining bottom third of the screen. This area is responsible for setting several special rules that can be applied to the command you just created. The most important of these is the box "Allow other commands to execute while this one is running." Having this box ticked will allow multiple commands to be given at the same time. This setting is important when creating complex macros and command sequences. You may also adjust how the software listens for the given voice command in this window, along with several other more advanced functions. It is recommended to leave the majority of these settings as default until you are more comfortable with using voice controls. When you are finished making your command, you can press OK at the bottom of the editor screen for it to be saved to your profile. If everything was done correctly, you should now see your voice command appear in the Edit a Profile menu. You can then select Apply and Done. Finally, we can test to make sure that VoiceAttack can register that command. Jump. Perfect. Thanks for watching. In the next part, we will go over how to create a button hold and stop commands.